That works. All right, then we will get going. At 7:01, I'll call us to order. Adjustments to the agenda. I need to add a 9.1 executive session. Hi, Kathy. 3.0 audience and communications. There are none. So then we'll move on to 4.0 presentations, 4.1 prevention. So now it is you guys that are on.
So I'm very pleased to have a small group of our student support team here. In the next 2 months, you're going to be hearing all about our student supports at HCS. And to start us off, we have Lynn Camera, who is our school SAP. We have Ginny Roberts, who is our mentor coordinator, and Cindy Stanley, who's presented to you before as the PE teacher, and she's also our health educator. And they're going to be walking us through our prevention framework, and obviously feel free to ask any questions of them as you go along. And they did an amazing job with the slideshow. My name is up there because Lynn is like the nicest person in the world, but this is all their work. So I just wanted to be sure that you knew where to give the credit. So.
Thank you. Well, so thank you so much for having us. It's a delight to be here, and we really value the work that you do. Sometimes it goes sort of unthanked, and I want to make sure that you know that you're appreciated, even it's very difficult work.
Nicest person in the world, just like I said.
Well, we talk a lot about gratitude, so we got to practice that, right? So, okay, Jeff's going to be my clicker guy. So this is who we are. I'm Lynn, Cindy, Ginny, and I think move on to the next slide. So in 2012, a task force was put together that came up with CSSU prevention framework, and I believe you were given some of that material a couple of months ago, so hopefully this isn't shocking and new information. In year one, you have some CY, Connecting Youth board members and principals involved, and some school staff, and then we just sort of added over the past couple of years, different staff members. So that's sort of a smattering of the people that have been involved over the last few years. So we can go on to the next slide. So that committee was tasked with figuring out what is the best thing we can do for our district, and looked at best practice, what's effective curriculum, and what does our community need. And so these are sort of the main points that they came up with in terms of what's the most effective. So I'll let you take a moment and just kind of read that over. I won't read to you. It's also on the handout. Okay. Any questions about that? It's pretty straightforward. Next slide, please. And then the goals of the prevention program. So again, I'll give you a moment to just read through that.
Can we ask questions?
Yes.
So with the goals, these are best practices, and or the committee affirmed them?
Yes. And what we want to do is make sure that all of our schools are consistent, so that students are getting the same information, and that when they come to CVU, they've received some of that.
Okay.
So all the schools are sort of looking at, how are we doing with this? Are we meeting these goals, and how? And that's, we're going to show you, yes, actually Hinesburg can be very proud of our programming. I mean, there's always more need. We can always be doing more. This is a huge problem in our communities.
Yeah.
But comparatively, we're very proud of our program, and are doing really well. Okay, so pieces of a puzzle, putting those pieces together. So we're just going to talk about our various puzzle pieces tonight, and these are sort of the four major components. And I can't remember, is it you that's up first?
I am.
So Cindy, yeah, on the next slide, she'll be talking to you about what she does in health education.
And Cindy, if I could just jump in, because the pieces of the puzzle, like Lynn has mentioned, not only are these the integral pieces to our prevention program, but our student support team is also much larger than this, and they're constantly in communication, as you know, Allegra and myself too, with all the different pieces. So these are four of the pieces that are here tonight.
Right. So the prevention framework with education is prevention curricula, and that's what Cindy teaches to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So she'll show you some of what she does in the next slide.
So on what I teach at 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, I have 6th graders, we can continue on, Jeff. 6th graders is usually once a week, 7th graders twice a week, 8th graders twice a week. The 6th grade, I really do an overview. They can't even imagine that ever they will come in contact with anything, you know? They are so innocent. So it's kind of an overview. 7th and 8th grade they're still pretty innocent, and they're pretty, but we do go over a lot of things that are going to be coming up, you know, prevention-wise, not only alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs, and I know that this is the focus here, but also, you know, if you look up there, those are all the things. Everything in health education is preventative. Some of the challenges that we face, you know, unfortunately, because scheduling, having the 6th graders only once a week all year long makes it very difficult to make a real kind of cohesive, you know, if they have 7 days in between classes. And Mr. Baker, I know that you have both Ellie and Julia are in that, and you know, great students, and I know that they, but it's got to be hard. It's got to be hard to have a class once a week. And, but they're doing great, and so we are just starting today. We just started alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. So we had an 8th grade VCAT member, 3-team member present an awesome presentation to the 6th graders. Another challenge is that Lynn is only there at a couple days a week, and so it's hard to coordinate. It would be really nice to be able to coordinate. But there are also some successes, you know, and unfortunately, you know, I do give the kids different assessments, but really the assessment piece and how successful it is doesn't really show up until they are confronted with the situation, when somebody offers them drugs. You know, when I talk to them and tell them, you know, when you come to CVU, it's not going to be a question of when you get, or if you get, you know, offered something. It's usually going to be when. So they, you know, they practice all their skills, and hopefully that's when the education's kicked in. So, and I don't know what I can go more in detail, but I think that that's pretty much what it is. I mean, if you have any questions about anything that I teach, you know, I do teach a lot of the information, you know, because the more information they have, the better well equipped they are to be able to handle situations. But we also do decision-making skills, we do conflict management skills, we do goal setting, and so there are a lot of things that we work on in health class.
I actually do have a question.
Sure.
Since you referenced my 2 children.
Is that okay to do that? I don't know if I'm allowed to.
Please.
I can also reference Mr.
I want to hear everything you had to say about them. So, they came home and told me that they took some kind of a survey that asked them about drug, alcohol use,
That is the wire.
everything else. And was that you? Was that
That
part of this? Or?
was not me.
I can answer that.
Is it you that I heard?
I just did it in Charlotte today, where I also am the SAP counselor. And the YRBS is something that's done every 2 years. The Center for Disease Control does it nationwide. And the health department asks us to do it in our schools. And Vermont actually has a very high participation rate, so we're very proud of that. However, for 6th graders, some of the questions are quite controversial and can be, you know, sort of stimulating, I'll say. And so what I say to kids is, you know, this is about risky behavior. So we're actually hoping that this isn't necessarily on your radar, but if it is, you know, we want to know so we can help you, because it helps us figure out where to put up our programming. We use the data quite a bit.
A comment I would make is, you know, my kids that came home said, they told us we had to answer every question truthfully. We couldn't, you know, not answer stuff, which was great.
Well, they had no idea about half of them, I'm sure.
Right. I think it would be good in the future. You know, this is, my opinion is, you know, maybe you gave us folks notice on that this was going to be given, but I think it would be helpful for some families. My kids are fine, but who have very naive children and so on, to kind of just give the parents the ability to kind of let the kids know, hey, listen, you're going to be taking a test, it's going to sit around this and that, it's very important. But I know my kids just kind of felt, they were fine, but, you know, blindsided. I can see how some parents, I wasn't, but some parents would be really concerned about, what do you got, my children, this and that? So that's the advice I'd give in the future. If you, maybe you did give notice and I didn't notice it, but my opinion would be is I think I would do that next time.
So what I did it at Charlotte, I didn't actually do it at Hinesburg. But what we're supposed to do, and Jeff's nodding saying yes, is give parents an opt-out form. So you can see it online, you can see it at the school beforehand and read it over and go, is this something I want my child to do or not? Most kids actually want to take it because they'll feel even more awkward if they're the one with the book not taking it. At Charlotte, I only had 2 6th graders that were opted out. So
how will we notice this is the Viking?
Yep.
So
Front
I
page.
probably didn't read the Viking that week, so I'll put that on me. So
So
okay.
it's on the front page of the Viking, and it was also in it was in the front page that Allegra and I wrote, saying that there was an opt-out form within the Viking because I wanted to make sure that parents saw it. And
Okay.
but Allegra and I are also aware that the Viking has when we moved away from once a week to bi-weekly, a lot of parents were frustrated because they wanted more communication. But what we're also realizing is that we're sensing that not too many parents are still reading the Viking. So that's why we're looking at other avenues, thus the Facebook page, where Twitter, CVU has a great Twitter page, and CVU Learns. So we're looking at ways to more effectively communicate. But to your point, I don't think you were the only one that didn't see that opt-out form.
Right. I think what can be hard with the Viking is parents getting caught up with their reading in general. So I always read it, but I might read it and a date has already passed me by. So I think in that situation with something, if that is considered controversial by the educators, probably a letter to the parents or email to the parents, specifically in 6th grade, might have been a good idea. I know if my daughter came home and asked me the questions that some of my peers' kids asked them, I probably would flip out. I don't know that we want these assessments to be a way of teaching kids about these things.
well, it's definitely not how we teach them. It's
No,
just
but I
sort of-
think kids learned some new terms taking that test.
That's true. I think you're right.
And I don't know that I don't think that's great.
So
Well,
I
obviously
brought,
you guys don't form the test, so.
No, right.
I brought back this slide in particular because the YRBS gives the prevention folks a lot of data points to figure out what they should be focused on. So, when Lynn was talking about it, I was looking up here and I was going to ask her, what was the, where are you getting the data to create these goals? And a lot of it does come from the YRBS. So it's unfortunate that it's really one question that really threw a lot of parents, but the information that we get from the YRBS is amazing.
That concern has been around for a long time. I mean, and it may be, as you talk with people at the state, that maybe there's an age-appropriate version where you can have most of the questions.
It's national.
It's national.
It is, and this is designed specifically for 6th to 8th graders.
Yeah.
But they do
Oh, this is
have-
age.
There's a
Yeah,
high
and there's a
school
high
one,
school
too.
version that they do
Yeah.
here. But yeah, there's a couple of new questions about sexuality that are on there that would be shocking to some kids.
But
Or
not
we
all
wanted-
kids, though.
Not all kids.
No, that's-
Right,
It's
we're
not
talking about
shocking
risky
to all
behavior.
kids. I think
Probably more
that's-
shocking to
Well, that's-
parents
that's-
when their
It's
kids
definitely
are
more
having
shocking for
conversations.
In my health class, we do bring
I
up,
did the same thing with my
like
son.
during the puberty conversation, as we had it, and you'll get a notice about that. We have, all the kids are together in the classroom, and the boys learn about the girls' bodies and the girls learn about the boys' bodies. It's a system, it's just like the respiratory system, and I want them to learn about it. But it's very interesting when you say some of the technical terms, because the kids are like,
Squirm in their chairs.
I know. Well, they're so uncomfortable. But I think that they look forward to it, but they're really nervous about it. But even when we're talking about anything in it, a lot of the 6th graders know about it, and some of the kids are just no idea.
Exactly.
No idea. So.
And I guess the only other thing I would say about the YRBS is, to your point, when you're coming in and you're like, this is about hope. And the YRBS gives us a lot of data about how well our kids are doing.
Sure.
We can often
Absolutely.
focus on like the 3% that are using something terrifying, but that's 97% that are making really good choices. So that's always good to see.
I just want to clarify, just for me, I wasn't saying that it shouldn't be given, and it wasn't valuable, and it wasn't valid, and the questions weren't appropriate. Just the other part. So I get it.
Thank you. Are you good?
I think
We're
so.
done?
Yep.
Okay. So moving on to this part of the prevention framework, substance abuse intervention. So that's, well, let me just take a look at the slide for a second. Are we ready? Okay. So this is, we can go to the next slide, please. This is my domain as the Student Assistance Program Professional. We have a lot of different versions for what SAP stands for, but I work with the 5th to 8th graders. I'm at Hinesburg on Mondays and Fridays, and I get referrals from teachers. Some students will self-refer to me. Sometimes a student will bring a friend in, and they can meet with me for a variety of different reasons. And I give them information, resources. I try to help them connect with other services, whether they're in the school or in the community. I refer to clinicians in the community consistently, quite a bit. There are a lot of barriers for kids getting the treatment and the help that they want. I'm technically not doing treatment, but I do have a counseling degree, and I actually am doing it, I'm just not calling it that. So I'm also trying to get into the classrooms as much as possible. This year I'm with the 5th graders and the 8th graders that don't take band. That's like the one window that I've sort of found. Here's a group of kids and they're not doing something that's really good for them, so let me come talk to them. And unfortunately I haven't been able to find that window in the 6th grade schedule or the 7th grade schedule, but I'll look for that in other months. So last year I met with about 73 students, either in small groups or individually, which is impressive to me in 2 days a week, right? With all the other things I have to do. So there's a lot of need. There's definitely a lot going on. If we could just go to the next slide, I'll show you. These are just some of the things that I talk to students about. We call it a broad brush program, so I can meet with kids that have just lost a pet or a grandparent, or maybe they're having friendship issues or they don't have anyone to sit with at lunch, or it could be that they're smoking marijuana. And like everything in between and even beyond all of that. So we talk about a lot of different things. And very occasionally we'll have a policy violation, and then Jeff and Allegra will call me in and I'll help guide the student and the family in that situation.
I think one of the biggest eye-openers for me as an administrator going from a classroom teacher, and it might be the same as school board members, is how much kids are bringing into the school every day. And we try to buffer the amount of people that know everything, but Lynn is kind of the holder for a lot of information of students struggling, either themselves or their families. So.
Do you mean how much baggage they're bringing in, or how much paraphernalia and stuff?
The weight of the world, yeah. Either something that they're struggling with, or just coming from really tough home situations and arriving to school, and there's people that are waiting on Monday to see Lynn, and then again on Friday. There's definitely a lot of students in our school that are in need of that assistance.
Yeah, and the good news is we have a great team, and I don't work in a vacuum. Other adults know, because I'm not there 3 days of the week, and I'm communicating with parents when that's helpful and appropriate most of the time. So, we really try to wrap these kids as tightly as we can, but there's some hurting people out there for sure. So and this is just, these are the top. I mean, the list is much longer. But I think that's it for my piece. I will talk to you about the next slide, though.
Can I ask a question on the last slide?
Yep.
This is just because I'm a new parent at the school. I don't have any clue. How does your role interact with the other guidance that's provided within the school, other counseling?
Yep. So Dave Rass is our guidance counselor, and so I talk to him pretty frequently. I mean, there are issues of confidentiality, especially when there's substance use involved, and I sort of work under the umbrella of federal law, CFR 42. So it gets a little bit tricky, but Dave will often hear similar information. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to say it, but we both know. And we don't also want to be working really hard on one student. We want to make sure, because we don't have that many resources, we have a huge student body, that we're not doing the same thing. But we will work in concert, especially if I'm worried about someone who's hurting themselves or might be suicidal. Then it's sort of all hands on deck, and I'm not just going to leave and be like, have a great week, I'll be back Friday. And we have you're going to meet these people next month. So Dave will be here. We have a social worker who has a caseload at our school. We have 2 behavior coordinators. So we're all communicating with each other and sort of figuring out who's the appropriate person for this situation, and who has a relationship with the student.
I was going to say, how does a kid know
who to go to depending on their issue? I guess, do they know?
They sort of figured out, yeah. And, you know, we have really different personalities. And so they'll sort of figure out, like, who they might feel safest with.
Right.
There's gender differences involved. Dave works with the whole school. Technically, I work with 5th to 8th graders. So that's one part of it. Sometimes it's about a teacher saying, I think that, you know, this student would benefit from working with you. So I want to hook you guys up.
And then there's often times that we find that students have been struggling for a long time and we haven't known about it, and the very first thing that we always say is, you need to find someone. You know, here are the people available, and you know, we all have a very open door policy. Like, if there's ever a time that you need to come in, and we stress the confidentiality so that they know that they can share.
So how do you know that they follow through with that? I mean, that would be my concern, is the, you know, the kids that fall through the cracks.
Once we know that someone is struggling, we make it a point to check in with them.
Someone gets like, okay, that's your responsibility to just check on them in the hallway. Hey, did you ever see anybody, or something like that? Or?
And that's the great part of the team, is that as soon as a student is identified as someone who's in need, not only do we know, I mean, we share limited information with the teachers as well to make sure that everybody's kind of checking in on that person regularly.
Yeah, and there have been some instances where someone has been really hurting and they don't want to deal with it at school. You know, so we just sort of give them some support in that moment and give them a list of maybe appropriate clinicians and agencies, and then they get that support outside of school. It's really hard to go into a small office, cry, and then go take a math test. You know, they just want to deal with it after hours. So that's also available to them. Okay, so this next slide is about prevention, which is why we're here, and talking about adult-student relationships and student-student relationships. So Ginny has a lot on the adult-student relationships in terms of the mentoring program, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Vermont Kids Against Tobacco group that I work with. So,
Right. So I run the mentoring program. I have been doing it for 10 years now. As you know, probably most of you know it, mentoring is adults from the community come in and spend up to an hour a week with a 5th through 8th grader at the school. The great thing about mentoring is that we have really good research on mentoring as a prevention program. We have research that shows that additional adults in kids' lives really do make a difference. We have long-term studies that show that kids from the same school, same neighborhood, with mentors and without mentors, the kids with mentors do better. They feel better about themselves, their relationships with other adults in their lives are stronger, and the onset of risky behaviors is pushed forward. And the longer that a child has a mentor, the better off they are in terms of risky behaviors. So I bring that message to my mentors. I'm going to help you form a friendship that really makes a difference. Don't worry about, is this making a difference? Because I can tell you the research shows you that it really does. So my job is to support the mentors through training and support, work within the school. We have a nice mentor room where kids can hang out with their mentor. The other piece that informs how we do mentoring at the school is that there is a fair amount of research on resiliency, like what makes some kids more resilient in life. We can't change what's happening at home, but what makes them more resilient? And again, additional adults in that child's life makes a difference, but it's not just any adult. It's an adult who comes and is there for them to do what they want to do, playing, hanging out, having fun. So even though there's lots of adults in kids' lives at schools, there's teachers, there's paras, there's just different people that they connect with. It's the mentor that's like, hey, what do you want to do? Want to hang out? And the mentor room becomes sort of that relaxed atmosphere where kids can feel good about themselves. Maybe that's the only time in the week that they look at someone and they feel like, wow, you are the best kid ever. Like, why do you need a mentor? So many mentors, that's what they say. I can't believe he really needs a mentor. And I'm like, no, he does. But so I have usually average about 35 pairs. I work part-time. I do have a waiting list usually of kids, but I start them usually at 5th or 6th grade. 90% of the pairs go to 8th grade, which is another factor that strengthens mentoring, is to have the longer the relationship, the stronger effect we're going to see. We also have a family dinner once a year, because best practice says that having kids and the parents be a little bit involved, know who the mentor is going to make that relationship strong. Like when they say, I'm going to see Bruce today, they know what they're talking about. So we do that once a year, and we just finished having that. So that's our mentoring program. Do you have any questions?
I've got 2 questions. You mentioned that there was a waiting list.
What causes that? Is it space, or is it enough mentors available to take on a kid, or?
It's a variety of things. I mean, partly I do work part-time, so it's sort of figuring that out.
Yeah.
Partly it's like if I have a boy with no man in his life, I'm going to wait till I find that guy. I'm not going to just give them, you know, it is easier to get women. But, you know, what I've found is like that maybe next year there's the right guy's going to walk through the door and they're going to have 3 years together. So partly it's just knowing myself that the right fit makes a difference.
Yeah.
So usually if someone's on the waiting list, I, you know, in 5th grade, I'll make sure by 6th grade they have one. You know, I rarely start a 7th or 8th grader. Sometimes I do. It's just harder. Kids aren't as open to friendship. And they're not going to get the 3 or 4 years that really makes a difference. But I have started them because sometimes kids just really need someone. And I have people that have mentored before, and I have this great kid. He's an 8th grader, so it'll be just 1 year, you know, and sort of sell it that way.
So then what happens to kids that have mentors when they go to CBU? Is there some sort of bridge at that point, or are they just kind of like, is that where they get lost?
A lot of mentors and kids stay in touch. I have very rarely, but maybe once every other year, someone becomes a community mentor's friend, which is doing mentoring through another program where you can meet kids outside the home. But it's amazing. You know, they sort of connect with the family and say, I've enjoyed knowing your child. Can I get together? They'll email. They maybe will have lunch together on their birthdays or something, but they email, and then I bump into mentors all the time, and they know exactly what their mentee's doing, or you know, they've seen them. Yeah. So that's the great thing about being in a small town where you can bump into each other.
And Ginny also puts on a fabulous culminating ceremony.
Yeah, when they
thank
graduate.
the mentors, and it's really awesome to see these pairs that have been together for so long. You know, just say goodbye, and you know, it's moving on, and And honestly, I think if it was just going to CVU and being a mentor still, it's a huge commitment. I think it would be harder to get mentors.
Right.
You are going to be mentoring for 8 years. And maybe college.
Right. Colleen, did you have a question?
No, that was my question about the transition, Jenny, to CVU, and what was your experience with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I can talk a little bit about what I do with some students with that piece. So I work with the Vermont Kids Against Tobacco group. I'm the advisor. There are about 20 grants in the state of Vermont, and Hinesburg gets one of them. There used to be many more, but then there were a lot of grant cuts, but we have a good program, so they keep funding us. It's only $1,000, but it matters. And so we work with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and we meet once a week. And right now we have about 18 kids. It's a very lively group of energetic kids. So I'm just sort of fastening my seatbelt with that. We can go ahead to the next slide. These are some of the things that we've been involved with and will be involved with this year. And one of the things that I do is I bring the 8th graders from the group here, and they meet with the prevention group here to make that connection. And I also invite the SAP counselor from here, Tim Trevithick, to come and talk with our 8th graders at Hinesburg, so that they're starting to get that familiarization with the groups, the building, the people, So that's one little bridge that we have. But we look at the YRBS data, and we analyze it and sort of look at what's going on in our school specifically and what can we do to make things better for other students. And then we do a lot of campaigns. Recently we did Sticker Shock at Lampman's. I don't know if anyone was there right before the winter vacation and saw stickers all over the alcohol and on the freezer doors or the cooler doors, just sort of talking about what some of the ramifications are if people provide alcohol to minors. And the students love doing that. We put on our VCAT t-shirts, we zip over there, we like put stickers everywhere, and then we leave, and they feel really empowered, like they made a difference, and they were activists. And it's really, it gives me goosebumps just talking about, there's something about that group process and like working that's really exciting. So this is also in your handouts. I don't need to read all this to you, but we did just have a really exciting thing happen where I took 3 students to the training in Vermont, where all the VCAT groups come together with 3 members, and we sort of learned from other presenters from around the US about tobacco prevention. And one of our students was so inspired, she said, I want to do this in health class. And so she got a couple of her friends together, they made a presentation, and there was some question about, like, are they just trying to get out of class by doing this? Is this actually a legitimate thing? And I said, well, I'll watch, I'll have them do a dress rehearsal with me. If it's horrible, like, it's not happening. I was blown away. I think it's better than some of the stuff that I do. Sort of like, okay, take notes, Lynn. Like, this is your successor. And I mean, they just did a great job. And Cindy was out,
I was out too. I was sick last
one day, yeah. And there was a sub in there, and the kids were amazing. It was in 6th grade. And then they did it again today, right?
They did today, yeah.
And you were also impressed. So
I was more. The 6th grade that I had, I don't think your kid was either, but they were a little wild today, and I don't know whether it was they were having a hard time settling down. But they had great information. The kids really liked it because they had them up and moving. They did a really cool thing where they had to come up with points. They were going to be shop owners, and they were going to, the presenters were shop owners, and the kids were supposed to try to talk about selling cigarettes at the store and come up with all these different arguments. And so there was quite the loudness going on there for a while. But it was very well done. They did a really nice job, and I don't think that she did it because just to get out of class. I don't think so at all. That has been on me since. When was it? When did you guys go?
We did that in November. I think since December she's been ready. Well, and that's the vision and that's the hope, but that was all student initiated. So that was really exciting. So I'm cognizant of the time, and I think we're almost finished here. A little bit more. So parents, right? Huge piece. I guess we can just kind of go into the next slide. CY has some parenting classes, the Staying Connected with Your Teen, which I'm actually co-teaching with a counselor from here. And then the Guiding Good Choices, which is geared toward 5th to 7th graders. And then we have dialogue nights at CVU. We've tried to do dialogue nights at Hinesburg, and they've been sort of not very well attended. So we're a little bit discouraged, and we've sort of looked at other ways that we can access parents. Sometimes articles in the Viking, that kind of thing. But that's a place where we could put more, if there was more, more time, I think, then that would be a place that I would want to build a little bit more. But we are cognizant of the fact that we need to be accessing parents and sharing information with them as much as possible. And I think the last slide is this. These are some of the folks that you're going to be hearing from next month. So just want to make sure that you know that we're not working just the 3 of us really hard. It's a huge team. And I just realized we didn't put Erin's name on here either, but we might want to include her too. So any questions for us? I did bring a handout just because I wanted to kind of give you guys something, maybe the hope thing right here. This is a printout on the 40 developmental assets. This guides a lot of our work. It's from the Search Institute, and it just talks about what kids need. And we sort of use this as like, with kids, with parents, just like what things do you have in place and can you put more in place? So if anyone's interested in this, I'm happy to share, and you don't have to take one. So I just pass them around. And then I do have one copy of the survey that we were talking about if anyone wants to take a peek, or I'll just take it with me. You good? It's going to scare you. You don't want to see it. You have a 2nd grader. Yeah, you saw it on Facebook. You're all set.
Yeah, I saw Facebook blew up that night, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, you know what, I really appreciate you sharing all that information. I think that so much the academic portion of the school day is front and center, and there's so much happening behind the scenes, so I hope you found that helpful because there is some amazing work going on.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And I seen all these programs listed everywhere we look, and I didn't know what any of them meant, so that was helpful for me.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
That's not my jacket, my monitor.
Can I get one of those? Can I have one of those?
Good night. Have fun. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good
Anthony.
job. Thank you. I want to read it. Thank you.
That's good information.
Thank you.
It was created in 1990 and it's still something that we believe in, so. it's good to have.
That was
Thanks,
25
Lynn.
years ago. I know that because I have a reunion.
I was gonna say, wow, I must have a reunion next year
I have a
then.
reunion on my mind. I'm not going to that one. Where are we? 5.0, reports to the board. Principal's report is first.
I have some copies here if anybody wants to.
It's in here too. It's cold in here, so.
I know, I tried
It's
to.
freezing in here.
I hit some buttons and,
think
you know,
it's
that's
turned
usually
down
how
in
I
the whole
fix
building.
things.
Right, I think it.
Somebody
certainly
ought to talk to that
Keep
CBU
trying.
board about energy efficiency.
Giving us some
Spending on heat.
So just to point out a few things, our math counts team is doing great. And also went to the regional math counts competition, and they're moving to the state competition on March 21st. So pretty excited about that. The basketball teams are all done with, well, almost. I think they're all done as of now, and they did really well. I guess there was a really exciting A-team girls game where the score was, I don't know, like
70.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the 70s, triple overtime.
middle school.
believe
Yeah,
it was the
triple
semifinals.
overtime.
Yeah.
Triple against
Semifinals
Shelburne.
against Shelburne.
Yeah.
We may have won.
Yes, we did win.
Yes. Well, I heard it was the semifinals because I heard the finals was sort of a letdown.
Right.
Jeez, yeah.
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 Very exciting game, I think. You just don't expect that with middle school to score that highly, and then to have all that. So I also just put some other numbers down. The Bolton Valley Ski Program successful, and the Cochran's program. 53 kids, 4th and 5th graders, are participating in Dig It, our first elementary musical that now is being funded through our school, as opposed to parents paying for it, and it's all very exciting. We are doing a family dance, first ever, hopefully of a annual event that
First
Pi is
annual.
sponsoring.
First annual.
Yeah.
That's the first annual, let's hope. So more information on that will be following. And kindergarten orientation registration is set. We also participated in the District Music Festival. We are on Facebook, make sure you like us. Calvin Wietrich, you probably caught that on the news, I hope. WCAX, no,
No.
Fox 44. No.
ABC 22.
Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep trying.
Fox,
Yeah.
I'll get
It
that
was
right.
ABC. Yeah, it was ABC 22, and I don't
Then
know.
he also, I just heard
Yeah.
he's written another piece, and he has another music teacher that has I don't know what, some kind of a brass group, and he's written a piece for them too. So he's loving it and really engaged in that. And
It's really cool to see
I
him
know.
communicate with the kid. I mean, he's really good.
I know, it's great.
Teacher in the making.
Yeah, and Ginny just talked to you a little bit about the mentoring dinner that she had, and then the Penguin Plunge. And also, we did do our parent satisfaction survey. We didn't have as many responses as we would like, but we are looking at the responses we had received, and we're seeing what we can do with that information. I don't know if you have any questions, or lots going on at the school.
Lots of amazing stuff. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like every time we turn, the corner, something new and celebratory comes knocking at our door. So it's been a good couple of months.
When does the Penguin Plunge?
It
Happened.
happened last weekend. Bill participated,
Or
right?
the
Or no? Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you go in?
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't too bad that day, but it was bad.
Oh, come on.
It wasn't one of the worst days.
Yeah.
I heard it was.
Oh,
Way
I'm
worse
so
than
glad I
last
wasn't
year.
doing it.
What's that?
Have you done? You say that? Have you done it before, or is that your first
No. I hate cold water more than anybody.
time? Are you going to do it again?
I think I saw you in the video.
Ellie will make me do it again.
I saw a video clip, and I think I saw you.
You have two
You're
more.
That was a
good
goofy
dad.
athletic one. That was me. Yeah.
You have 2 more
You were
years.
the one
of
that
it.
went in halfway and then came back.
I went all the way in. I went all the way in. I went all the way in.
He's the one that put his toes in.
I went all the way in.
You're a good guy.
Thank you, Keith. It was. I hadn't even been attended before. It's pretty amazing.
It
The Norwich cadets are unbelievable.
Are they?
So they get everyone in the tents all fired up. You know, like, guys, get it! You know, the whole army hoorah thing. You know,
Yeah.
so it was good.
Great.
It was good.
Good.
I think I wrote Jeff an Allegri email, but compliments to Paul Lasher for doing that, taking it on, and he really takes all the fear out of it for the kids and positive, and he's doing it on his time off. So I want to compliment him for doing that. And as I said in the email, he's a credit to our school.
Certainly is.
I know that this is at least the 3rd year he's done it, but maybe
4th, yeah.
year?
Yeah.
His son went too. What grade's Brady in?
3rd grader.
3rd, yeah. So.
3rd? Yeah, 3rd grade.
Wow.
So.
That's brave.
Yep. Great.
Thank you.
Yep.
5.2 CSSU debrief. Either of you want to handle it?
I was late to the party, so.
Well, we just, acknowledging 3 board members getting off the team, so, I think that's important. So Deb Baker-Moody from Williston, Russ Caffrey from Shelburne, and Sue Grasso from CBU. So it's always nice to acknowledge someone leaving us, but hopefully we'll get them on some community teams. And we had a presentation, the common topic was on the early childhood ed. That was very helpful. Other than that, it was just mostly business.
Oh, do you want to mention the
the vote on the moving para educators to CSSU. It's something that we've talked about for a number of months, probably at least a few times in this meeting. So the CSSU board voted to move this para educators who work with special ed students who are eligible for special education. They're moving to the CSSU payroll, so to speak.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right. A great presentation on
Insurance?
No, the early education, all of the various programs for getting to our earliest learners. I think it was very helpful to hear about what I've been living through for the last several years.
Well, it's just, I thought it was a good testament to how complex and loosely organized it can be. That so many people coming to the table for that effort, but it's, this
that it can
willing
be,
participants.
and is certainly in other parts of the country, somewhat in parts of our state, and that it is very organized and targeted here, and certainly in RSU, but in Chittenden County as well.
Yeah.
All right, 5.3 FMR. Somebody want to address it? Looks like we're still on target for a good big number.
Yeah, I mean, everything that you were presented with during the first quarter FMR is posted as we're still moving forward, and projections still look favorable to end the year.
Great.
I had a question. Go ahead, Stacy.
It's okay, you go first.
No,
Ladies first.
no.
The only question I had was the expenditure decrease and the net favorable position were the same number. Is the revenue piece, not that it matters, I just want to know where we are. Is the revenue number in the 229 or no?
Yes. No, the revenue number is not in the 229.
Okay, so your net under budget then would be 229 plus 7.
Sorry.
Count.
I was
just thinking that myself.
I was like, well, those can't be the same number. I just want to know which one's right.
Don't let Jeff do your taxes.
It must be a typo.
Maybe in the past, the revenue wasn't estimated to be different, and that's why it was typed that way, but.
Explain to me your question. So expenditures are estimated to be 229 under budget.
Yeah.
So that's a net favorable.
Yep,
Yeah, net-
forecasting a net of, there it is again, 229.
So if we have two.
Right,
It
but
must
then
be 222.
If
No,
expenses
should
are
be
down and
something.
revenues are up, then the net would be the total of two,
236.
yes or no? Normally, but I don't know the data to know which number's right.
I always believe that the revenue is separate from, we are forecasting a net 229 favorable. That's just on the expenditure side.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's what
Two
it is.
separate-
Because,
two
because
separate-
we tend to look at our budget as an expenditure budget. How
Right.
much are we spending?
Okay.
And the
Versus.
the
Versus how much do we have in the bank?
right.
Right. So okay. Okay.
But that it's a valid point that the 7127 at year end would be rolled over along with the net favorable of the
Right.
expenditure budget.
Right. Okay.
So Bob is the one that created this report, and
Yeah.
it is weird that he's putting it in their choice.
Yeah. It's okay. It's just
Yeah.
I just wanted to understand.
Yeah.
That just means we're 7,000 better than the 229, and that's what I wanted to understand. Yeah. Thanks.
So, since even being when I was in the budget team before, can someone explain to me again how the elevator speech, why the food service is always running a deficit? It seems to me that we would
For 20
buy the
years.
food for $500 and sell $500 worth of food, and then there's some other stuff
Yeah,
in between. Why is always this delta? And is there a resolution to that?
The short answer is if we serve chicken nuggets and mozzarella sticks every day, we would be in a surplus. The fact that we have
Or had a la carte items.
yeah
If we could do that.
if we could sell ice cream
So with
sandwiches.
the lunch cost, and the supplies you're buying far outweigh the cost of the lunch to provide a healthy, well-rounded meal.
Yeah, I mean the fact that we have to buy a lot of fruits and vegetables there alone,
Right.
and charging families a reasonable rate for the
Got it.
lunch services, we're constantly looking at ways to increase participation. And I know a neighboring school offers pizza every day. We're offering pizza twice a day. I mean, we still want to expose students to new types of foods and things like that, but we also have to have parents willing to have their students try the food. And yeah.
I got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And it's important that our students aren't hungry.
Mhm.
Right.
So,
Right, and we want to give them healthy choices,
Hot
and
lunch.
we're willing to eat that deficit to give our kids healthy choices.
Yeah.
Well, and a hot lunch, right?
And the lunches are amazing.
Yeah.
So I
they're really-
mean, yeah.
And BLTs are really popular.
Yeah.
I was so surprised.
BLTs. Who doesn't love bacon? Come on.
I know.
The person in front of me.
vegetarians.
The person in front of me today is funny. She asked for a BLT, hold the L and the T. she was just joking, but I thought it was cute. So,
An extra B.
yeah, extra B. Thank you. Triple B.
Triple B with mayo.
5.4 PI Parent Council debrief. Were you able to attend?
Pie parent council debrief.
Yeah.
I did not go to the last pie meeting because it was the same time as our meeting.
Oh yeah, I went to a couple minutes of it. Were you there, Kristen? Do you want to? Would you like to speak as to what's going on with pie?
But I could tell you what I know about pie, and then Kristen can jump in. The one thing I do know that's going on with pie is the family dance that's coming up.
Yep.
I'm one of the suckers helping to coordinate it.
Good for you. One of the nice people.
So we've got that coming up. Hopefully everybody that's a parent here will attend. Should be fun. And the other thing we've got going on with pie is the parents there's a sign up genius did you write that? That was wonderful. Kristen created a sign up genius for parents to sign up to volunteer to call classrooms using the directory the night before, I guess Monday afternoon, Sunday afternoon before the vote, just to encourage people to get out and vote. And so I've signed up for a particular classroom, so Keith, I'll be calling you to remind you to vote.
Okay.
But, so that's pretty cool. So it's a way that they're using the directory that was made as a way of reaching parents.
That Pi coordinated making.
Yeah. And then the Sign Up Genius, the tips that you put for what to say, I thought it was great. So thanks for pulling that together. I don't know what else I'm missing. Is there a meeting coming up?
The format for Pi has changed so that there aren't so many meetings because it was so hard for so many people to get there, that there are kind of initiatives and people take pieces, like the dance is an initiative, and the grant cycle is coming up again, so that's probably something that you'd want to be aware of, that applications will be due in March. And the dates are available on the website, and the application is available on the website. And we've got a meeting set up for, I think it's the 5th, right after the break, for any teachers who have questions. And I'll be there to help answer, kind of guide them and encourage them to come up with innovative ways to enhance what's already going on in the building, with grant money that's raised through box tops and the other fundraisers.
And is that a meeting that any parents that want to attend would go to? Okay.
They could. It's I believe that it's more for faculty.
Oh, right. Okay.
Any grant request has to have a faculty kind of sponsor.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm good now. I just wanted
So
to
that's
put my
actually
calendar.
on the 4th and on the 5th at the morning, at 7 in the morning,
okay.
right?
Is the next.
Is the next kind of get together of the Pi, I don't know, leadership group or kind of cohort. And anybody's welcome to come and be part of that. And you can get breakfast for $5. Tim was really excited about that. But that's at 7 in the morning. That would be the next.
On the 5th.
At the Bristol Bakery.
At the Bristol Bakery.
So a couple of kudos to Pi. They were able to give out a couple of grants that are fresh in my head. We the 6th grade team had a storyteller come in as a
I remember that.
as a grant funded opportunity, and he did amazing. And he's coming back on Friday to do a presentation to the 7th and 8th grade team as well with the 6th grade. And then our 5th grade math teacher was able to get a makerspace science and engineering cart, and she is so excited.
That's
so
very exciting.
Yeah.
She was really excited about it.
Yeah, but so now it's starting to come together, and she's
Yeah.
even more excited. So yeah, it's
That's
good.
awesome.
Very good stuff going on.
Excellent.
Also related to that, the other Pi grants are worm composters.
That's right.
For the 2nd grade, which are on hold because it's rough traveling weather for the worms. They don't tend to do well if they are implemented in this environment. And then there's also a Heart Smarts program that I believe the kindergarten is piloting, and that's kind of emotional awareness for the younger grades. And so we'll hear how that went. Mrs. Johnson and a parent are piloting it, and we'll be sharing it with the other kindergarten groups.
I didn't realize that one got approved.
Do these get written up anywhere? Because I mean, they're really interesting little anecdotes and
in the minutes.
For the broader community, I'm just thinking.
How might we publicize these?
Yeah, I think people in the community have a hard time understanding how schools different or changing, and I think these examples are they're great. They're little pockets of someone taking on a charge and doing something really interesting.
And I personally had struggled when I first got to school. What is Pi? What are they doing? Why are they raising money? What are they doing with it? And I think that having more marketing efforts about what we're doing that's so great would be a way to, I guess, help bring in more funding, because people understand what it's all about.
Yeah. Right. I mean, the Heart Smart, the worms, the maker truck or whatever it is.
Yeah. And,
Those are all very
and Facebook is one avenue that we're taking to show all the amazing stuff. And what we have to do a better job of is getting community members, not only parents, but community members to like the page so that they can also see
Well,
all
and
these.
you've got a huge population that does not use Facebook.
Yeah, but there's a huge population that
community.
does, so we can't ignore
Yeah,
it.
oh yeah, but
Yeah.
The comment I would make again for probably the fourth time is if we get all the stuff on Front Porch Forum, then all the older folks in the community
Yeah.
on Facebook would see it, and everyone reads Front Porch Forum.
Yeah.
So, the Viking on Front Porch Forum would be helpful, and this stuff.
Maybe
Even-
the parent,
even-
maybe the
even-
parent group could take that on.
Yeah, I'll
Just
bring
to-
the Front Porch Forum idea to the leadership group, and I think that in the past we haven't always, I have not been involved in follow-up on the grants in the past, so I'm working on chasing down photos and recaps and results, because I agree that I think that highlighting all of these programs is what gets people excited and feeling like, wow, okay, this is worth it. And especially for the value of the amount of money is not a lot. And it's bringing great value, all the different programs. So I've got notes out to all of the recent grant recipients to receive photos, and we'll try to make sure we get blurbs done and get them to the various places.
Yeah, some type of press release, for lack of a better word, twice a year after the grants are awarded in terms of what the grants were and what the money's being used for would be a great way to.
Well, we hear so much about the Common Core, and we're going to continue to hear a lot about the Common Core, and we also need to understand the creativity that teachers bring to their profession, and I think those are really great examples.
All right.
Oh, there is one other part of the art grant that Katie O'Brien spearheaded. She put up one more piece that, what were the grades that contributed
Fourth
to
and
the
fifth
tree?
grade.
Fourth and fifth grade. It's kind of a mix between Paul Clay, or is it Klimt, and Kandinsky. Anyway, it's really fabulous. All contributed.
As you walk in the door by the gym.
It's by the gym.
Yeah, I've seen it.
From the outside,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's that's something also. I'm hoping maybe that could be worked into the pie page.
Yeah,
I
that's
took
a
a
good
photo
idea.
of it because
Put it on the
and one student
Like he did.
actually
I can put
designed
you
that
on
Facebook.
tree in second
Somewhere I saw it,
grade,
yeah.
Right.
and so many kids had a hand in it that it's really empowering. I think to them to see that large scale impact. So.
And it was actually a student piece of work that she had for about 4 years.
Right.
Yeah. She's pretty incredible.
All right, thank you. 5.5, Facilities Committee. Anything?
I missed the meeting, but did we share that memo with the full board on we were to respond to the town about the growth projections and students for the new developments, which
I saw something that Bob Mason had sent, but he might have only sent it to me.
I didn't see it.
I'm thinking that was the case.
I didn't see it.
I'm curious about it. I don't know if it was in our minutes
Says
or something.
we probably should circulate it to the board, but it says that we have
Once
the
it's final, I think he sent it to me sort of in draft. This is what I was going to propose. Do you have any comments?
Yeah.
So if it's final, we probably ought to send it around to everyone for our next meeting.
Okay.
May
Right.
I have is it appropriate time for me to comment on that?
On what?
On the development, just the school's capacity.
Well, let me say this then. So I can't remember the numbers, but the conclusion that Bob Mason reported the group had come up with, as guided by Rolf, the architect that we normally use, was that we will not be close to capacity for a long time, if ever.
5 years is the projection.
But in hearing that, I feel like I'd love to know what the measure is for that. Is it classroom size?
The measure is classroom size, which is my hesitation, Because while that might be true for classroom size, I think there are other parts of our school that really need more space.
And I had started a list of them because well, it came up as a topic, and the side parking lot,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
the flex space, the conflict between the gym and the auditorium, the indoor recess needs, the how many times that we bump into, and these guys I think deal with it so beautifully on a daily basis that it's just become, it's what we do. But I don't think the community has any sense of how often we have no activity in our building because it's indoor recess. And so the kids do have options, but it's not physical activity. And we have one gym. And so we have conflicts after school, but we also have it during the school day. If there's a need to have a chorus event in the evening, the risers have to get set up during the day, and then you can't use the gym for the day. And I know that you guys probably all know about all of these conflicts, but I don't think the community hears about it. And if the only measure is classroom size, I think that that really downplays a big issue in the quality of our education. Cafeteria alone, right? Do we have, you know, the amount of time in the cafeteria? So,
Well, you know, maybe what we should do is we should circulate the memo that Bob put together coming out of that meeting and whatever he submitted to Alex for the town plan.
So remember, this was just to establish when impact fees could come. So there's protocols you have to follow. There's a whole system for that.
Yep.
So this doesn't mean that that's what we feel the capacity is, but legally, we can't ask for impact fees until such and such, these certain criteria have been met. So that was the purpose of this.
But don't you think our role, though, is to go back to them if they're using a measure that inaccurately portrays our capacity? We should go back to them and say, well, technically, by the legal definition, we're not due impact fees.
I'm not quite sure how much. I mean, we can say that.
I don't know. I think
but
that
I don't.
should be vocal.
And we did.
We did.
Right.
We did do that.
So we were.
But there's certain criteria.
Allegra and I were both part of the conversation, and there's nothing that Allegra and I would disagree with you at all. I mean, we, like you said, we see it every day and after school and all aspects. For purposes of this conversation, it was kind of a starting point. As the developments begin to happen, it was for impact fees alone, and then the board, with Keith's guidance and Kathy sitting on the committee, will help us guide to what the plan of attack is for the next 5 years.
So how about this? So how about if we circulate what exists, the memo that came out of that meeting and whatever the SU put together for the town plan, and we'll include it in the next board package so people can read it. We always have this facilities committee as an agenda item, so if people want to talk about it next time we can. But this sounds like a big enough topic that maybe we ought to put it on the retreat agenda so that the board can talk about it, you know, with not the pressure of a evening meeting with lots of other business to attend to.
I would agree, and I'm going back to maybe an October or November meeting where things got put on hold for a little bit with water, and I think it seems now like things are moving again.
Yeah, so I think things are moving, but at least in terms of the priority that I think the board had back in the fall was, can we assess impact fees? And under the statutory guidance, sounds like the answer to that is pretty definitively no. I understand that some, if not all of us, disagree with that, but I don't think we can do anything about it right now. So in terms of the emergency of having this conversation, it's been pushed off a little bit because there's not much we can do about the impact fees. However, I think it's our job as a board to consider what we can do on our own.
Correct.
What we can and should do on our own.
I'm agreeing with you full. I think the retreat is a great idea to address that.
But part of that, another way to think about that issue is whether we try to have a middle school that combines with another community, or
Yeah, I think that needs to be part of our conversation. Because our site is limited,
Mhm.
and you know there are two pieces: the geography plus the curriculum. You know, putting kids middle school level age together, that's a curricular element that we should have a separate discussion about.
Yeah, and to Kathy's point, I mean, impact fees, if you think of it on a more global scale, if you insert impact fees, it just makes it even more difficult to have a diverse population in the town. You're increasing the cost of housing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just something we can't lose sight of either.
And it really, you know, it's a drop in the bucket compared to running a school.
Right.
It's nothing.
But it's just, that's another, you know,
symbolic, if anything.
But it does become an access issue. That does get passed on to the person who's going to be trying to move into town, you know, so
but
it depends on what your population of your school to look like.
I'm strongly in favor of making this a retreat agenda and giving ourselves enough time to work through it, because if we think about the last time that our community really wrestled with what to do with our school, you know, the major significant changes to that building were in 1997. So by the time we were to do anything, we're already talking like a 20-year span between when we had really significant conversations in the community and any change that might occur.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because both of those bonds come off the budget for fiscal year 17. So that'll be a positive impact.
Yeah, and if nothing else, we've got a building that continuously needs to be upgraded and so forth, and that white building, you know, that's a whole project unto itself.
Didn't the white building used to be a gym?
No.
Was there a second gym at the school at any point?
No, where the where the cafeteria is, it was kind of like a common space, but no, the gym has been the gym. There was I could go into different elements of the history of it, but I won't do that. But the bottom floor was a space for young children at one point. So that might be what people were thinking of. It was called a multi-purpose room. And that's where some people might have thought it was gym-like, but it was tiny.
All right, I think that sounds like a good idea.
Keith, just for an action item, not a board action item, are you going to send out the email to your constituents, or is that something you want me to do? Bob Mason's memo.
I don't have a final, so
we'll talk with Bob about getting
yeah, let's do that, because I don't know if he did make any changes to it before he submitted.
Okay.
And I think he sent it. It talked about both HCS and CVU, so I know he sent it to Leah. Ray might have gotten it too, and they asked about when they needed to get comments back, so they may have made revisions based on theirs.
Okay.
But I read the HCS portion, and I think it was fine.
So you want it in the board packet for next time?
Yeah, why don't we do that, if we can do that.
Is it something that's going to be presented at town meeting, though?
Town meeting? No.
No, okay. I would just want to be aware of it.
I think it is, again, I gotta go back and look at my email, but my understanding is the town, through whatever board has this authority, is looking at a revision to the town plan, and they wanted something from the school about capacity and other things.
6:30 or something is what we are, right?
It started with
6:70,
6.
I believe.
Was it really?
Yeah.
6 what?
670. Which we're expecting to be at that number in 5 years with the new build-outs.
Yep. Okay.
If they happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems more likely now. There's a couple that are already broken ground.
Before we leave this discussion, Kathy, have you talked with anyone in Charlotte or Bill? I know you were, no. Okay.
We were told it was a non-starter at the time.
My recollection is that our board's openness to that conversation is more than theirs.
Yeah, okay,
or it was.
yeah.
Could have changed in the time.
It could have changed, so one or more of us can make that overture and see if they want to start talking. I mean, incredible complications to it, but it takes two to even have a discussion, so.
Well, and legislatively, if anyone wants to do any advocacy, if we can get legislation that helps the school funding, helps us move kids among our school districts with no penalties involved with that, then kids could go to different schools depending on their particular needs, and that would ease some of the burden.
You know what? If we were a red, we wouldn't be having this problem.
I set you up for that.
Wait, you don't have that T-shirt.
No, I don't.
He's wearing the red.
But I was with Russ on that one. Anyway. Right. Any other committees? We have a placeholder for other committees. Any other ones want us? All right. Let's move on to 6.0 discussion matters. I'm going to combine 6.1 and 6.2 because I want to hand this to you guys, which is really 6.2 communications board corner. This is the flyer that is going out in the Record on Friday night or Saturday morning, I think. I think it comes out on the 20th. And, I'm sorry, I should keep going this. And once it's available in the Record, I'll throw it up on Front Porch Forum as well. So, no.
And were we going to put it in the Viking?
You can have mine.
Yeah, absolutely. Put it in the Viking, but Marcy and I had signed off on it shortly before you sent the Viking out.
Right.
So I didn't get it to you quick enough to go in the last Viking. So when is the next Viking coming out?
Well, I think
We're doing a mini one on Friday.
Oh, yeah. So I think you should
before
put it in
edition?
that then. Here, you take my copy, then I'll print out.
Are you looking for feedback?
No, it's done.
Okay.
It's done.
Yeah, don't find any mistakes.
Don't find any mistakes.
Say anything.
Don't say anything. No.
it's great, isn't it?
That's the only feedback you can submit.
So, how about Facebook?
Sure. Can you put you can put a link to it. So if you put it on the school page, you can put a link to it, right?
Yeah. I can make it happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any restrictions on where we should put it.
Okay.
Do you guys want to post something on Facebook too about getting people to vote too?
We'll take your.
Kristen's right up this.
As long as it says, as long as it doesn't say to vote for the budget.
Right. I think what you put in the Viking the last time was fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Go vote.
Yeah.
Great. Do you want to send us your?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got
I
this
thought I
link.
copied you at the link, but
You probably did.
and then I thought I don't want to flood your email, so I said, you'll get it. Yeah.
So the other thing that went around is more related to 6.1. This is.
Did you send this to us?
No, I haven't sent it to you yet.
Oh.
And that was.
Because I figured you'd get a
this
copy
presentation
tonight.
here or that.
Well, this.
Okay.
And I mean, we didn't get a chance to look at it before
Because it was
got
delegated
published.
to a committee, and the committee worked on it.
And it would, but it's coming from the board, so
But it was delegated to a committee.
It was delegated
and the
to
committee worked on it.
Okay.
Isn't that how it happened last
My
year?
preference would be that something that
Timing
would.
does not allow that, Colleen.
Okay, but my preference would be that when something goes out, it comes to the board. If it's coming from the whole board, that just, here it is, opportunity to give feedback.
Timing does not allow that, Colleen.
The turnaround was so quick to meet the deadline.
I understand that. I'm just sharing my preference.
Okay. The other thing that went around is Jeff and
Thank you
Allegra's
very much for doing
draft
this. I know
of
it's a huge amount of
the
work.
presentation for the annual school meeting on March 2nd. It is based substantially on presentations that we've used in past years.
I want to clean up. I'm seeing on that agenda slide, there's for more detail visit. I'm going to take that out. It's at the very bottom on the agenda, slide 2. Even underneath questions in the gray box.
Take that out.
Yeah, I'm going to take that out if there's no objection. Allegra's pointing out that when we went to print, it looks like slide 3, 6, 8, a couple of things were not printed.
Print.
Yeah. So Keith wanted us to be sure that we shared this with you tonight for that feedback piece. And I think what I'll do, Keith, is when I get home, I'll send the PowerPoint presentation to the board members.
That sounds good.
Work?
Yeah, it looks better in color.
And I have a couple of questions
Yeah.
that we can go over. You know, we don't need to take the whole board's time, but I had a couple of questions too. And so I think my suggestion is look at it either now or when Jeff sends you the electronic version. And if you have any particular feedback, let me know and I will coordinate with them and put it into final shape by 2 weeks from yesterday.
And when you send it out, just give us a turnaround time, and if it's 24 hours or 12 hours, that's fine.
24 hours is preference because I don't know about your plans, but I'm away next week and I do not want to attend to this while I'm away.
But if someone sends me something and says, can you look at it by the end of the day, I can do that.
Okay.
Great.
So the one thing I'll say is the proposed budget says your tax bill is an increase of 0.04%. That was in Keith's sheet, and on the PowerPoint it says 0.03. Just to.
So rounding, it
Okay.
depends. It was 0.0356, and I rounded to 0.04. And
Okay.
Bob or Tammy, whoever put this together, just left it at 0.03. So
Something that we
yes,
can-
we do. That is one of
That'll
my
have to-
thoughts, which is we need to make sure everything's consistent.
So all information will be filtered through you to
I
me.
think probably.
Okay.
Or just show an extra decimal place, 0.035.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to action matters.
So we'll review this when he
whoa,
emails
whoa,
it, and we'll
whoa,
send you
whoa,
any
whoa,
questions or comments we
whoa.
have, right?
I gotta. Is this where I can comments on the board?
No.
Oh.
Look at it later at your own
No.
leisure.
New. I have another something different. Not on this. This is the time on the agenda when I can director's comments.
Bring some.
Oh, we don't have that, but let's save that till the end.
Okay.
Okay. All right, action matters. 7.1, reaffirm retreat date, Monday, June 1. We did that at the SU meeting, so we'll do that for our board as well. I can't remember, it doesn't say, usually the SU board meets in the morning or the afternoon and the locals meet the opposite. I think usually the locals meet in the morning.
We did last year.
Yeah. 7.2, appoint moderator for our school meeting. So, as you probably recall, we have to have someone to run the meeting. And I didn't do the research because I wasn't going to be bothered by that. But I don't think it's allowed, and certainly probably not appropriate for one of us to run the meeting. But we could in a pinch. The reason there is a need is because Dina Monahan did not run again for moderator.
Right.
Because the meeting style has changed, and for whatever reason, she didn't want to continue doing it. So we have a hole for moderator.
Who's doing it for CVU?
There's a number of things we could do. I don't know who does it for CVU.
Would make sense to
A
have the
number
same
of
person.
people were suggested to me to try to do it, and one of the suggestions was Phil Pouch. And I've asked him if he would be interested in doing it, if the board supported that, and he said yes.
Do you think being a selectman, that's a
Yeah,
conflict?
I
I don't
that's,
think being a selectman is a conflict for the school meeting, no.
if you go back 30 years, it is.
Another person that might be really good is in this room.
I think it should
That's a
not
budget
be a
buddy.
board member.
I can't do it.
Oh,
I mean, my view is that the role of the moderator is really to keep order and to call on people to ask questions. There is a very limited role for what he or she
Yeah,
does.
they don't respond.
What's that?
They don't respond to anything.
So it's a matter of knowing Robert's rules and running the meeting. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
They need to be fluent with Robert's rules. Yeah.
Right.
Is that your thing?
How about Jim Gilbert?
But keep in mind that our meeting is very different substantively than it used to be.
I know, but you just don't
This is
know.
now an informational meeting. There is no voting on any budgetary matter. So to the extent that there used to be what could be characterized as contentious items at the school meeting, with people making motions and amendments and such, changing the budget up and down, that's not ever going to come up at this style of meeting.
Right. It's just not the same anymore.
So if people
It's
don't
a
want
little
Phil to do
awkward.
it, that's fine,
Yeah.
but then we need to find a replacement. And I have tired of that effort.
What
So
was the
I'm
name
not
that you
doing it.
suggested?
Jim Gilbert.
And was that the guy who used to be on the board that was a budget buddy this year? Yeah.
It's awkward to me to have this discussion in such a public way, but yeah.
I mean, I'm putting
I think,
I'm putting Jim out without him knowing it, so I agree.
I
with
don't
you.
think it should be a current board member.
Current board, one of us?
Yeah, I don't think it should be one of us. And I don't think it should be a school administrator.
Agreed.
Kathy, what do you think?
Did we vote on? We vote on town moderator, and we appoint a school moderator.
No, the town votes on school moderator, but no one's running. So there's not going to be one.
Who's the town using then?
Sorry?
Moderator. Who does the town use for moderator?
Joe Fallon is the current town moderator, and his term runs through Tuesday morning. And his term is expiring, and he is not running anymore.
So does he want to do the school piece, if he's doing the town piece
I
right after us?
Did not ask that.
I don't know. So Dina's term does expire?
Dina's term expired last town meeting day in 2014, so no one ran, so there isn't one right now. So the way that you would do it then is the people, no, we actually don't
the
appoint.
People choose.
The people that are at that meeting,
assembly.
the first motion we have to take is we need a motion to appoint so-and-so as moderator. All those in favor, aye. All those opposed, no. And then that person is appointed moderator if he or she gets the affirmative votes.
We did that a few years with Dina because she had forgotten to run or get something in.
Her signatures.
Well, I'm fine with Phil.
If Phil wants to do it, then Phil do it.
I would rather not a select board member or a school board.
Well, then I think you're signing up to find a replacement because
Yeah,
I don't have a problem. I mean, there couldn't be a more.
Sandy put this on our agenda as an action matter. I don't know that it necessarily needs to be an action matter, because again, we don't vote on it. It's the people that are at the meeting. But what I was kind of hoping for was at least a straw poll about how the board felt about this. So if we are not comfortable taking that straw poll, or Colleen, you don't want him to do it, then that's fine.
It's not an individual. It's the legislated body.
I am not saying that it's an individual. I understand your issue is with his status as a select board member. What I'm saying is we don't have to decide it tonight. I'm merely bringing it to this board saying this is an opportunity. If you want to do something about it, go ahead. If you don't, don't.
I will say that I think Phil would be a good idea. If he's willing to do it, let's have him do it. But maybe going forward, trying a little more separation might be healthier. That's my opinion.
What's the issue with?
Well, just he's a selectman, you know, and this is a school thing, and it kind of just, this area's of gray there. A little, could be perceived. Could be perceived, not that there would be.
There are some people in the community who have a very strong belief that the select board should run the schools, and you know that there's history there that it's just better if we have a nice division between the two legislative bodies. You know,
And all he's doing is or this person would be just running the meeting.
I don't
Moderating,
like
moderating
the
the meeting, yes. I guess I'm not excited one way or the other. I don't care.
Well, I guess this is where we leave it. It is quite possible that at our school board meeting, the motion to appoint the moderator will name Phil. If anyone wants to have someone else named, I suggest you find an alternative candidate, and we can then try to influence that motion. I thought of and asked a number of people, and his was the first affirmative response I got.
You said, woohoo! I got someone. Yeah. It's a thankless job. Thank you for finding somebody.
Thanks for doing that, Keith.
All right.
Keith, do you need to go back and get a vote on the retreat date?
Oh, do we need a,
It's
oh,
an
I guess it is an
action
action
matter,
item.
so-
All right,
Should have been
fine.
consent.
Fine. Set on 7-1, I think I need a motion then to
So moved.
reaffirm Monday,
Second.
June 1 as the retreat date. Thank you, Bill, for the motion. Thank you, Stacy, for the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Can I make a comment that I would prefer to have the HCS portion in the morning, because that's the worst day of the year for me, and I can't stay the whole day.
That's what we did last year.
I appreciate it. I'll just
That's what we'll do. I mean,
thank
that
you.
was that was as a result of people making that same comment.
Thank you.
Great.
All right, we are not taking action on 7.2. 8.0, consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Kathy. I
I
think
beat Bill.
Stacy beat you to it, Bill. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. 9.1? 9.0, confirm next meeting dates. We have a March 17 school board meeting. SU meeting's the same night. The times of those are going to be switched from what we normally do, because we have to reconstitute the board, our board, and figure out who's going to be on the SU board. So to be determined whether the local meeting is going to be at 5 or 5:30.
CSSU.
St. Patty's Day.
It's my favorite.
It is St.
Conflicting
Patrick's Day.
with some
Wear green.
Rileyisms going on over here.
All right.
So you said it could be 5 or 5:30?
It could be 5 or 5:30,
Depending on the agenda. We'll
Yeah,
decide
depending
that
on
at
how
the agenda
lengthy the
planning
agenda is.
meeting.
Well, for now, I'll put it in for 5, so I'm covered.
Yeah, that's perfect.
If it's not in here, I don't show up.
We'll move executive session to 9.2, and I'll give you a 9.1.
Thank you.
Director's comments.
So I was circulated a memo from Bob Mason about a part 2, explaining what part 2 is, how part 2 runs, so on and so forth. And my understanding was is that might be in the school report, but that didn't make it. So where does that stand in that? In the
I remember that email.
in
The explanation of part 2, and where does it
what part
become
2
a public-
is, how it runs,
Yeah.
the enterprise
missing.
fund. Correct.
Okay.
That was my understanding that it would appear in there. It did not. I was wondering why it didn't. Where will it be? What happened to that memo? And will we have it available for us? Because I'm sure at the school meeting there will be questions about that.
Bob will be back next week, so I can.
It would be nice to have a flyer that, you can talk through something, but some people need to have a visual cue, and we could.
Unless I'm misremembering what was promised, I'm quite disappointed that it didn't end up there.
Wasn't that the point of doing that?
And I don't know how that didn't happen, but frankly, it's leaving me.
I don't know. We certainly can make copies and make them available to everybody, and but I don't
Post it
know
on Front
why.
Porch Forum?
Well, I just want to make sure that we have it at the meeting.
Mhm.
Because in this year, I would say of the community concerns that I fielded, 90% have been around that issue.
So we'll be ready, right?
Yep.
Is it worth sharing it publicly on Front Porch Forum or otherwise?
I think it
so.
should be part of the presentation.
I just think we, at this point, we just have it, and, you know, if we hand it out there, that would be fine, but, I just think it's important that we have, you know.
I know that there's a grader report that's coming based on the fact that we've hired, we're working with an attorney and with a former superintendent who is very, very much involved in a Part 2 type program in his own supervisory union. So that's going to inform a lot, a bigger body of work. So I don't know if Bob was thinking that all of that is one piece and that's why he didn't do this other piece. I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that, but I know that we're not done with the whole information packet.
I appreciate that. I think that it'll be too late. If
Right.
we don't
No,
have that
I
in
hear
hand
you.
by the
I'm
meeting,
not-
it'll be too late.
Yeah, no, I think you should do what you've just suggested.
It's
I'm
the,
just
it's the
trying to-
governance and the money piece. It's,
Right.
you know, how does the money flow and
She's just
who
trying to
makes the
provide some
rules?
logic for what did happen, possibly.
Right.
I think it's
Exactly.
like a one-pager, right?
It's already
Right,
done. It's already done, so the question is, why didn't it get into the, right, isn't that what you're saying?
Yeah.
The one pager is done and has been circulated to board members.
Well, no, I got a copy. I got a memo sent to me. I think I asked for comment, and I gave comment, and then I did not
Okay.
receive
We'll
anything after
follow
that.
Okay.
But that, what you responded to did go to all board members. That went to all board members. Even your comment back went to all board members.
Right, I think what he's
And
saying is he didn't see a finished piece that was ready for publication.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah,
I'll
okay.
follow- I'll
Into
follow
the
up.
school report.
Right.
Clarify, I didn't see the finished piece that came back,
Right.
and at our last budget meeting, we were told that it would be completed, we would comment, be completed, and it would be in the report.
I'll follow up.
And you know, my expectation is something as important in that, when that is, for lack of a better word, promised to the board, that should happen. I understand things happen. And
I will
and I'm not trying to point fingers, but, you know, that was important from a governance point of view and the money flow point of view for the community to be transparent where it's at, and I just what's happened, so thank you.
All right, 9.1, executive session. I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Stacy. All right. We'll have to find a room to use.
And you don't need us?
I don't think we need you.
Okay.
Definitely
No,
don't need
just
you.
you need me, and then you
Okay.
need